All right, we are live. Welcome everyone to this special live edition of Spotlight with Sibel and Spiro. Joining me today is the editor and founder of Newsbud, Sibel Edmonds.
Hello everyone, good to be back again with all of you. I hope we will get many people joining in, and I am really looking forward to your questions, to your comments. We have prepared, Spiro and I, several questions that we will also answer. These are some of the most frequently asked questions, but otherwise, please just join us and submit your questions. Don't worry about anything. Don't be bashful. I don't consider any question a stupid question. So please bombard us with questions.
Well, that's right. And we have a lot to cover here in this next hour or so. Everything from government control over the internet to the most recent and significant developments with the ongoing war in Syria. But first, we'd like to remind everyone that Newsbud is a 100% people-funded media organization. That means we rely solely on you, the people, to support and fund our operation, so we can continue to produce our daily content from our expert team of professionals. Now, the best way to support Newsbud is to visit our Kickstarter and pledge your donation today. Now, of course, we have our news model. Basically, to explain it to everyone, it's a combination of 4-phase Kickstarter campaign plus subscription model. So the 4 phases of the Kickstarter were, in essence, to get us the seed money to build the foundation that we needed to put together a legitimate, real news organization, to build that foundation, to be able to assemble the team and get the needed equipment and everything. So we're halfway through. This is phase 3 right now, currently halfway through phase 3. But during that duration of establishing, going through the Kickstarter program, we're building every day our Newsbud community. And these are our subscribers that are they have reoccurring monthly or annual subscriptions to our site, where they get access to all kinds of exclusive material, perks, if you want to call it that, stuff that's only available to the Newsbud community members. So right now we're about a little more than halfway through our current Kickstarter campaign, phase 3. We're about 25% of the way there. And this is an all or nothing campaign. So that means that your credit cards will not be charged if we fail to meet or exceed our goal. Now, depending on the amount that you do donate, you are eligible for all sorts of different perks, like everything from DVDs to Newsbud hats and complimentary subscriptions. And there's many other perks. So your support is critical to sustain Newsbud's current operations. And we'd like to thank everyone out there for their support. Sibel?
Okay, I'm here, I'm connected. You and I have been, I know we have had several videos in the past few weeks about the dependency on the system. I mean, what do we mean by that? As we all know, it all started with this whole fake news shenanigan. And of course, we know that the internet is overloaded with what we call or coin as junk news site. But we have also seen this escalation on the attacks that the deep state people or the entities we call on the other side to basically shut down people using this whole excuse of fake news, etc. And there has been back-to-back, almost on daily basis, these news headlines talking about Facebook in England, in the UK, banning 10,000 plus people. They don't have to go to court, folks. They don't have to go and show any kind of evidence and prove that you or any John Doe is disseminating fake news. All they have to do is get rid of you, kick you out. Also, we have been witnessing another front of attacks on various alternative media. Some of them are not really exactly alternative media, but by taking away the ad revenues, especially in this case, Google and YouTube. And also, we all know, all of our viewers know how Google, YouTube plays with their algorithm, and they basically successfully marginalize truth oriented, non-propaganda oriented sites. And these are the sites on YouTube. So we have been talking about that, Spiro and I, and there are a couple of other headlines that I know you're going to be covering, Spiro, so I won't go into that. But here is the thing, okay? And this is we the people, we cannot counter the propaganda, the junk news, the fake news, the shadow government / deep state by depending on them. I mean, it doesn't take a genius, high IQ people to figure this out. We can't say, okay, here it is. Here are all the facts and evidence with YouTube, Google doing these, okay, to us, yet continue our dependency on this medium of delivery, okay? One of the things that we have been telling people, all of us, has been the fact, okay, and this is absolutely true, the fact that there is nothing free on the internet. Sure, you can say, well, YouTube is free. Okay, really? But look at the price tag. Take a look at, let's say, some alternative media source or independent information channel based on YouTube, okay? It may be free, but there is no contractual agreement between those people and YouTube, meaning Google, YouTube has no obligation to let you continue on their site. See, that's the catch with the free medium, meaning they can kick you out of YouTube. And again, they don't have to go to court. They don't have to get a subpoena. They don't have to show any probable cause. They can just put something really vague and say, you know, you have violated some of our criteria. Or we have received reports, whether from the government agencies or other people, trolls, that you're fake news or you're violating this and that. And they kick you out, shut you down. Light up, folks. Now think about I don't want to call them idiots. Maybe that's not a good way of calling them. These people who have, they have accumulated 200,000-300,000 followers, okay? Saying, great, I have this medium, it's free, YouTube, and I can put all this facts that you don't see or opinion that you don't get to see on the mainstream media, right? The billionaires' own channels. Well, guess what? Once they pull the plug, okay, once they turn it off, you have no way of connecting with your 200,000 people. It doesn't mean anything that you have had those followings. Now, some of these, again, I don't want to call them names, not very smart, astute people, they are actually using the YouTube channels to talk about how bad YouTube is treating them, while they are still putting all their eggs on that basket, the basket being YouTube. That's dumb, folks. What we need to do is we need to preempt it, knowing that Google is in bed with the government, knowing that Google and YouTube is partner with the fake news, the real fake news, mainstream media, and the billionaires, because Google is the billionaires mega company as well. It would be very, very misguided. Again, I'm trying to speak mildly here, to go and say, I'm going to continue and I'm going to wait until the last second, until they kick me out, until they eliminate my access to the community I have gathered, right? Because of that, since our inception as Newsbud, we have been working behind the scenes on establishing multiple platforms. No way we are going to put all our eggs in one basket with YouTube. And as we get more visible and successful and effective, once you start really getting effective, they are just going to send you one-liners saying, bye-bye. It was free. We are not under any obligation to continue our service to you. Then what would we do, right? So to counter that, to preempt that, we at Newsbud has been working on, yes, we have been investing, we have been working on developing other mediums. For example, we have multiple hosting companies with multiple dedicated private servers to say, okay, if something like that happens and these jerks being YouTube and Google, here I'm giving them a cause to eliminate us, okay? Because we are having this live session here on YouTube, Spiro, and we are daring them. Do you know why we are daring them? Do you know why I'm not engaged in self-censorship? Oh, let's not piss off YouTube, because right now they can end this live session, folks. You know why? Because we are not dependent only on YouTube. We have multiple servers, private servers, dedicated servers, hosting companies. We also have signed up with one cloud server providers. We are in the process of signing up with another overseas cloud server provider. I'm not going to name that organization right now because we are in the midst of doing that. And I don't know if you can see it, Spiro, behind me. This black machine here is my printer. This is my tiny little office, okay? And I'm sharing it with my husband here. We both work from here. His chair is right here, so we are pretty much cramped here. But next to this black, do you see the gray machine, this clunk that has been taking this space on my shelf? We invested close to $3,000 on one of the top-notch quality mass production DVD production equipment. I don't know what to call it because I'm technologically challenged, but you know why we have it. So let's say YouTube kick us out, okay? Facebook, they pull the plug on us. We have private servers, we can host our own videos there. Let's say those servers kick us out. We have two, right now we have one, we are going to have two different cloud server services that we pay for, by the way. It's not free, meaning we have contractual agreements with companies to say that I'm going to be paying you this money. In fact, I can pay 1 year in advance. You're going to commit to give me this space. This is mine. So does it eliminate the chances of them unplugging? No, but at least it reduces it. So it's not like we are dependent. No, we are paying for it, folks. And worst comes to worst, let's say those cloud server providers, they pull the plug. We have this DVD production machine, meaning with our community, and this is Newsbud community members. These are the subscribers who have formed community with us. This is why Spiro and I and all our team members, we don't call them subscribers. We call them our community members, okay? We will be able to manually put all those videos, especially pertinent information, important information, into DVD forms, and by snail mail, shipping it, sending it to our community members. I know I'm taking a while to go through this, but I want to explain, because I know a lot of people out there, unfortunately, they are ignorant, okay? And they don't realize how dumb it is to say, Google, Facebook is doing this to us. On the other hand, they are operating solely based on those, the enemy's platform. As Newsbud, we are dedicated to eliminate eventually. We have been reducing our dependency and need, and we are going to eliminate our need to rely upon YouTube to deliver our top-notch, high-quality information, presentations, shows, mini documentaries. And this is, again, this is something that a news organization that is funded by the people, okay, can do, because to take the time, to take the energy, but also to take the resources, in this case, financial resources, and say, we're not going to wait till the last second. We want to make sure we have multiple platforms and multiple ways of connecting to our subscribing community members. And with that, I know, Spiro, there's another important developments from the UK that should be shocking to a lot of people, but I'm not sure if it has been really shocking.
Well, you're right. It's kind of Yeah, it is shocking news and information, but at the same time, it's something that's been in the works for a long time. It's something that we've seen them making steps towards incrementally, and it's getting to the point to where this is something that we really need to take seriously. Just last year, maybe it would have been considered a conspiracy theory, but here we are looking at the UK. Theresa May is planning to introduce a huge regulations on the internet. They're in the works right now. And this would allow the government to decide what content is allowed to be online. Now, this would, I mean, that in itself should send chills down your spine. Now, and this came soon after the Investigatory Powers Act came into law there in the UK. And that legislation allows the government to force internet companies to keep records on their customers. That's you, folks, and keep tabs on your browsing history, as well as giving ministers power to break into supposed secure applications like WhatsApp so that those messages can be read and all of this information can be handed over to the government. Now, they're saying that this would be basically creating a new internet that would be controlled and regulated by the government. And as I said before, we have seen incrementally it progress towards this direction. And of course, this is all being justified by the government to give the government complete control over the internet in an effort to combat hate speech, pornography, extremism, and terrorism. But they also seek to regulate the news that is posted on sites like Google and Facebook. And this goes directly into what you were just talking about with dependency upon these platforms. Yes, Google and Facebook are independent companies, but if you look at how these companies began, they began with very close ties within the intelligence community. So they already have started, this shady relationship with the governments. And it looks like they're obviously consolidating that power and control, and they're going to try to control what access you have to information. So that's one of the main reasons also that we have been talking about this for a long time, about establishing our own community at our own site where we are not part of, we don't want to have to rely on Google and Facebook and YouTube and all of this stuff, because you're right, Google can or YouTube can just restrict our channel, say that we violated community guidelines, not tell you what you did wrong, but just shut your channel down. And then how are we supposed to communicate with everyone who, all of our supporters, everyone who likes this information? Well, that's one of the great things about being a member of the Newsbud community. And it's very inexpensive for the price of a fancy drink at Starbucks. I mean, it all comes down to value, basically. But we're setting ourselves up in a position to where we are going to be as dependent as possible. So it's something that I'm very excited about, and I definitely encourage everyone out there. And also, you're going to get all kinds of access to exclusive content that we're producing on a daily basis. So it's something that we don't want to put all of our eggs in one basket. In other words, we don't want to be shut down. So rather than trying to be reactionary, we're trying to be ahead of it. That way there's no, they could shut us down. They can shut down our social media networks, but we can still get you the information. Like Sibel was saying, even if we have to mail you the DVDs, we're prepared to do that. So.
Absolutely, Spiro. And this is one of the things that right now we are working with our web admin person to include in our subscription sign up. Of course, we are going to make that voluntary, meaning if it's not like you have to fill out the section that says address, your physical address. We are very conscious of your privacy. I don't like to usually give out my address. I mean, I would give it to a site like us if I know this site very well, or maybe one other or two others possibly, but there will be an asterisk in front of it saying optional, meaning if you choose to, if you want, put your address there as subscribing community member. And that way, when the push comes to shove, which is coming, I mean, it's already here, it's coming, then we have that channel possible too, meaning we will be able to mail to you in DVD format. So they have to really tackle and attack us from 5 different sides, including snail mail, email, downloading, etc., to eliminate our reach and our communication with our community members, our subscribing community members. Another important thing I think we need to mention, Spiro, is we said we want to establish this organization that is 100% people funded. We don't run ads. We do not like sites that run ads. You're dependent on the same corporations that you're supposedly fighting. And we also ask our viewers who are awake, if they go to these sites and they see these ads, just get out, because you're supporting mega corporations and they are not alternative. As long as they depend on those mega corporations' advertisements, they are no different than the mainstream media. But compare, for example, the budget we have and what we are trying to do to counter the enemies to the enemy's budget. When you look at the amount of millions of dollars, no, actually billions of dollars, for the mainstream fake news channels, whether it's CNN or the PBS or the CBS, HBO, etc., and then see, well, that's ludicrous to even say we expect people with such small budget to truly daily actively counter the enemy's platforms. They have billions of dollars. Here we are trying to reach these several $100,000. We are so dwarfed. We are not. It's like an elephant and an ant, right? Same thing with the pseudo alternatives. I mean, you look at some of these channels that are funded by people with evil people like George Soros. Look at their budgets, 10, 15, 20 million dollars. They don't even put daily content out there. So in order to counter that, we rely on the people and the numbers, saying we're not going to have 1 or 2 billionaires to come and hand us, for $500,000 or $1 million to put together a daily active, effective news information site. We're not going to rely on those corporations and their advertisement to keep us in business so we can deliver content. And we have to keep censoring ourselves because we don't want to piss off our bosses. That leaves people. But here's the advantage. The advantage of relying on the people is you're looking at what? I don't know, 5,000, 10,000 people. I mean, we're looking at just in the United States alone, 360, 380 million population. 5,000, 10,000 people together, they can make the site a size that can counter. We don't need millions of people. All it takes a community of dedicated activists saying, it's about time. To this date, we haven't had a full-fledged news site, information analysis, multimedia, everything, okay, that can stand up and counter the propaganda channels. But we, the people, can make it, and it's very easy. And that's exactly what this Kickstarters and our subscription program is about. We have kept our promise. We are not going to give you ads. We are not going to make deals with the devils out there, the devils that we are fighting. We are going to rely only on you, the people. Okay? So is it possible, even though they are the elephants currently, we are the tiny little ants? Of course it's possible. What does it depend upon? It depends upon you, the people, our community members. And another thing that comes up frequently is about, people who are putting out, some facts and information, they shouldn't treat this thing as a job. They should do it on the side free and make it available and not get paid for it. Well, this is why we have gotten where we are today, people. You know why? Because when you get some incredibly talented, good, independent journalists or producers, they are not able to put that in use and deliver to you facts to counter propaganda, because they have to go scramble, find jobs, and make living so that they can feed themselves and pay their rents and take care of their spouses, and in many cases children. So there is no way, when you have spouse and kids and a full-time job and commuting, that you can dedicate the required hours for research, production, post-production, editing, And you can't do that. And we are not that. As our team members, we have this revenue sharing mechanism in place, meaning whatever we get from our community, and this is through Kickstarter, this is through our subscription model, we take it and we share it as income among our team members. At the first of every month, March 1st, April 1st, May 1st, every single team member, they get compensated, they get paid so that they can afford spending those 20, 30 hours per week producing this. And if you look at the About Us section on Newsbud and take a look at the caliber of people we have, absolutely. I mean, actually, our people deserves more. And that's one of the things that I have promised myself even before we started Newsbud with the first Kickstarter was, I want this organization to be one of the best paying people-dependent media organizations out there, so we can hire the best and deliver the best to our community members. And they do deserve the best, and they are going to get paid. And as we are more successful, every single team member is going to get more payments. So hopefully a lot of them can be working with us full-time. We want to hire investigative journalists full-time. And yes, we want to pay them the fair amount, the good amount. We want to be able to bring in interns, because one of the things they are doing, and this is something that we haven't talked about, Spiro, they are killing this whole, I don't want to say the field of journalism. A lot of people, they don't even want to go and study or train as journalists because they're saying, I have to eat, man. How am I going to pay? So I have to go and become whatever, programmer, etc., even though my heart is in the right place. I want to be a journalist. I want to be an activist for truth as a journalist and do this. But the thing is, the industry is such that they are underpaid or they are not paid. Well, as Newsbud, we are going to challenge that. We are challenging it currently. We want to challenge it more. We want to bring in investigative journalists, the right kinds, okay? On daily basis, we are getting applications from people. They are sending us their resume and they are seeking jobs. Some of these candidates, I look and I go like, wow, I wish we could hire this person, because this person is the right kind of a person for this and that story that we have in mind for investigative journalism, but we need to have the funding to do that. And we are being frugal right now, and we are not expanding. And that has been my response to applicants who are sending us applications. It's like, please sit tight. I know you're looking for a job. Hopefully we will be there in maybe 6 months from now. That again depends on you, the people. You determine how many people we can hire. You determine what good level of salary we can provide. But that is not something to be ashamed of. That's something to be proud of. And anybody out there, and they are usually trolls, who come and say, no, the people, I mean, they call themselves, I don't know what they call, YouTubers. People should just sit there in their PJs with no respect for their viewers, and give their personal opinion, and let's call that journalism. That's not journalism. I personally don't have any respect for anyone who neglects their children and spouse and responsibilities to live well, to eat well, to feed their dependents, and then spend all this time out there putting whatever, usually is the fluff information. So I just wanted to clarify that is one of our principles, and I know our community members absolutely appreciate that, support that. We share revenue. We want to hire good journalists. We want to bring back the not, I don't want to call it glamour, but the honor, the pride that is associated with journalism. They have killed it. They have killed it. Mainstream media, they hire entertainers, folks. Okay, they're sitting there, they're talking about whatever Melanie Trump's behind or nose. And I mean, is that journalism? No, it's not. Same thing is true with so many of these junk news sites. That is an insult to this honorable field called journalism. And another way of defining it is activism for the truth and communicating the independent truth, not flavored by partisanship, not flavored by nationalism, not flavored with any of those propaganda or agenda stuff. Pure, independent analysis, information, news.
That's right. I mean, they say that the pen is mightier than the sword, and they say that for a reason. And if you look throughout history, even recent history, with $500 million contracts with the CIA and certain media organizations, I mean, there was a famous quote by a former CIA director saying something along the lines that there isn't any major media outlet that the CIA or that the agency hasn't infiltrated, basically. And I mean, that's something that really people should take into consideration. Just a year or two ago, 2 years ago, they made it legal. The government made it legal to propagandize the public and to weaponize the news and information. And they're doing all this for a reason. And that's why they're trying to brand and discredit sites as being illegitimate or fake news and all of that. So that's another one of the main reasons, obviously, why we are people funded, because we're not going to be co-opted by any of these agencies or NGOs or foundations or any of that. We don't want their dirty money. I mean, it really is dirty money. And it's, we have principles. We want to maintain our credibility and be objective and remain objective. And Sibel, we were asking our people here in the live chat who are watching this to submit their questions. And we had some of the questions come through that you actually kind of answered already there previously. Okay. One was from a question from Neo, and he was asking, where do you see Newsbud in 1 year from now? And I think you kind of answered that one already, but the other one that you were hitting on was people were asking, you know, what is the criteria to work for Newsbud? And you kind of were hitting on that one too. That's a question we've been getting a lot in emails and everywhere.
Yes, it's a perfect question. I'll answer both. As you said, we have answered it during our conversation here, where we want to be in 1 year. First, the simple answer is it all depends on you. It depends on how much money, how much resources we are able to obtain through you. Because if you look at my ideal list, you know how people, they have dream list or fantasy list. For me, it's a realistic list, and it only hinges upon how much money, how much resources we can get from our bosses, and our bosses being you, the viewers. We don't have any other bosses. You put us into business, you determine how much we expend. But let's say if it were to go the way I envision this organization to move forward, we have done a great job with bringing top-notch experts on China, North Korea, on Russia and the Balkans and the EU, on the police state practices, civil liberties, constitutional stuff here domestically in the United States, on technology with Jeff DeRiso's top-notch show, on daily development, perpetual wars with fantastic shows week after week produced by Kurt Nemo, and of course okay, so we have done this. There are a couple of other shows, weekly shows we would like to add, but currently we have basically suspended expansion because we want to be, again, frugal and take these measured, sure steps. I would like to bring in, and there are several candidates, someone who is independent, not tied to the pharmaceutical industry or the corrupt healthcare industry in this country and even elsewhere in the world, but with expertise, okay, with expertise on medical health pharma issue, because that is so important. The same mega pharma corporation is very similar to the example of YouTube, Facebook, you know, those corrupt mega corporations in bed with the deep state, controlling the information on the internet. Well, the same thing is true with the mega pharmaceutical companies controlling what gets to be researched, what parts of the findings of these research are published and made available to the public, and the fact that the research itself has integrity, okay? I have a kid, she's 8 years old. I have to go through so many different sites to get this information about what's going on with the vaccine industry. You know, they're bringing few other additional vaccines that haven't even been tested out there, or they haven't even made justifiable explanation why they are necessary. I, as a mother, do not consider my child a guinea pig. So to make the long story short, I want to bring to you with one of the top authorities. I don't want an average Joe who says, this is what I think. I mean, there is nothing wrong with that. But where is your authority? How can you explain and show our people? You know, there are some great scientists. There are still a few left in other countries who come up with these researches that basically debunks the United States evil pharma industry's finding that they are putting out there. Basically, they are countering the fake research finding. We want to be able to communicate that to our viewers and bring. So one more show on health. Another show would be on, you know, all the economy related developments, because they are important and they are hand in hand. A lot of stuff you're seeing happening domestically, internationally, geopolitically, it boils down to what, folks? Usually it comes down to money, whether it's the oil, whether it's the military industrial complex, whether it's the mega banks, the financial industry, the corrupt, despicable Federal Reserve. So I am not an expert. I know, Spiro, you're not an expert. So I know we have been getting the request from our viewers, financial, tackle Federal Reserve. I do not want to do something that is not within the sphere of my knowledge. That would be ridiculous. We won't do that. But I would like for us to hire a top-notch expert, independent being the key word, to have a weekly show. We have a couple of candidates in mind. And again, right now we can't do it. We have to increase the revenue to bring that show. That's for video shows. Once we have that, we are going to have multiple daily shows every day that covers everything: geopolitics, laws, health, you know, everything that you can think of basically will be covered with that, technology being one of that. The other goal is, and I've been dying, I can't wait to get to that point. I want us to hire top-notch journalists, investigative journalists. We are giving you fantastic analysis, best aggregated news on the internet, according to you. That's based on your feedback. These video shows, but we do not have full-time investigative journalists who are going to expose for the first time so many things that need to be exposed. I mean, we get some of these stories, and I mean, we see something and we're like, man, I mean, Spiro and I, we talk about it. Wow, we need to spend time and go after this. But number one, we are not the investigative journalists at this point. We are wearing multiple hats. We don't have the time and resources. And if we had the resources, we can go to someone who's seasoned, who knows what investigative journalism with integrity, meaning your sources are listed, your facts are triple checked, and you are presenting the checked, good, independent expose. We need that. Another thing we are talking about is having satellite offices. They may be virtual, but have satellite offices in the Middle East, in a couple of places in Europe, also in Asia, South, Central America. That is on our wish list, on our planning list. That again depends on you. It depends on you and the revenue we get. So these are basically the goals we have. A lot of you internationally have been asking us to have subtitles. We would love to do that. And this is a good time, Spiro, to mention a little bit about the demographic of Newsbud. It's really delicious. I love it. It's very interesting because for our Newsbud Academy, by the way, the registration is closed. We successfully registered enough seats that we have a full class here. Altogether, we're going to be, more than 50 people who will be attending this first course academy offered by Newsbud. It's going to be through Professor Philip Kovacevic. But I was looking at the people who registered, Spiro, and the percentage of U.S. people from the United States American is less than 10%. 90% of our students come from all over the globe. United Kingdom, of course, Canada, but Sweden, Germany, Denmark, Norway. We have one student from India. We have one student from South Africa. We have one student from Iran. It's just, when I went, and we have several from the United Kingdom. It in a way, it was interesting. It also made me scratch my head because I know our reach in terms of our demographic. When you go and look at the Alexa.com, it says, okay, something like 60% of your audience, people who click on your website, are from the United States, right? Yet those people who are subscribing to us and register for this course, majority of them are not. I mean, does that say something about the sorry state of our country? The illiteracy promoted by schools, actually furthered by schools, where people, instead of investing on true knowledge, whether it's through good independent books or seminars, good courses, independent courses like this, or sites, I don't know, but it's mind-boggling. So because of that, that is something else we would like to do, provide people with translation subtitles. And as far as hiring people, it's case by cases, but we have certain criteria that we do not compromise from, okay? One is we like independent people, and they go through interview process, but I also take a look at their past work, you know, whether if they have shown up in some other channels, talked about things. If I detect with this nose, okay, any scent that says you are still looking at someone ignorant who has swallowed either the red pill or the blue pill, no way, Jose, okay? It's not happening. I don't hire people that I detect partisanship. It's okay to have philosophy, okay? You may philosophically lean towards, let's say, liberalism. There's nothing wrong with that. It's different than this paradigm that they have established for us, red pill, blue pill, Republican, Democrats. So that is extremely important. The integrity of the character, okay? The quality of the work, the experience, and the relevant knowledge gained in whatever area it is they are applying for. I don't want to say your academic credential is very important, because Spiro, you and I know, unfortunately, you go through that factory of academia. By the time you come out, you actually have been dumbified. The systematic brainwashing to parrot the establishment provided academic information. So they teach you not to engage in critical thinking. They teach you not to challenge the official story, okay? They teach you to consider people like us conspiracy theorists. So I don't say, oh yeah, if you don't have PhD, you're not going to join Newsbud. No, when I say knowledge is, of course, Professor Filip Kovacevic is professor, but he has lived in several countries. He speaks several languages, and he's anti-establishment. First of all, he doesn't care, Republican, Democrats, okay? He's been an activist. So it's case-by-case basis. As far as Kurt Nemo, I don't even know what academia he attended because it's irrelevant. He's been a journalist for 15, 20 years. He has produced amazing material. His character is known as someone with integrity. I don't care which university he went to. And he's not partisan. He has proven time and time again. And if you were to ask me what is his personal philosophy, I would say, I guess just like you and I, Spiro, maybe, no party, and it's independent. Independent is the key for hiring. The other thing is, I don't know, I had one applicant who does syndicated work every day, 2, 3 articles. I know it's quantity, but the quality is not there. And when I asked this candidate, I said, so what is your political, leaning? He said, no, I'm not Republican or Democrat. I'm a progressive. Well, okay, here's one of those terms. How do you, the word progressives is used so willy-nilly that progressive can be anything you want it to be, okay? I have a friend, not a friend, is a mother of one of the kids in my child's school who used the term progressive. He said, well, my husband and I are progressives. And I said, yeah, how so? He said, well, we have modern things. For example, we just signed up with these parties that they are held in the city where you go and you exchange spouses. Okay, for this person, progressive means degenerate whatever thing. Now, somebody else defines progressive in a different way. To me, progressive doesn't say anything. When I probed this person a bit further, he said, well, I supported Bernie Sanders. Again, that doesn't tell me anything. I said, well, does that mean you believe we need to have the government needs to even be bigger? Everybody should get even taxed higher. And then we should completely depend on the government. The same corrupt, despicable government that we are fighting against is going to hold the key to everything we have, to our schools, to our healthcare, to everything. Now, if you had a government that you considered as decent, even semi-decent, I could see that. But you can't talk from both sides of your mouth. You can't go and say, these people are evildoers with their perpetual wars. Look at the number of billions of dollars this government of ours, is spending on killing. It's a killing machine, not a defense industry. It's an offense industry, right? Do you expect this corrupt government with waste, fraud, abuse, criminal deeds, who has zero respect for your liberties, be the one that should be bigger and in charge of every aspect of your life? Dictate how many vaccinations your kid is going to get, how often? We don't subscribe. So that person's opinion may be valid, but it doesn't fit with this independence that we subscribe to. So I hope that answers the question. I'm going to stop here because I love questions. Please send us more questions. We have several questions I know you and I have received through our community emails on YouTube, etc., that we will go towards the end of this show and answer some of those most frequently asked questions. But let's get more. Please send us questions.
Well, one of the questions that we got towards the beginning of the show was about Patreon. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it properly, to be honest with you, but that was one of the questions about that. And Sibel, you and I were discussing that same topic. That's one of the many questions that we get asked frequently.
Absolutely. It seems like an interesting platform, and I think it has some good utilities for maybe singularly operating sites. Currently, it is not, number one, compatible with our system that we have, our IT system. Our website is based on WordPress platform, but we also have, oh my God, I mean, I don't know, maybe 40, 50 different softwares and plugins, they call them plugins. And the thing is with these plugins, and I know people who are technological experts are like, oh my God, the way she's explaining it, I am challenged. I will get to that later about how old-fashioned I am. I still use pencil and paper. When Spiro and we go and get office products, or we want to compare the prices with online ones, I go and I'm like, oh, I need a pen because I need to take this, the name of this product. And Spiro goes like, oh, here it is. He takes his iPhone, he takes a photo of it with all the description. I'm like, why didn't I think about it? Okay, so that's the difference. But these plugins, one of the things that come with it, while they're all good, they need to work together, because sometimes you get a plugin or a software that works great, but it crashes your other software, meaning you can't tie it to your existing software that operates the rest of your system. For example, for our subscriber community members, we are using a certain platform. So when people subscribe, they are automatically sent their username and password and access. And then that software, if they are subscribing based on recurring payments, that software takes care of it. It sends them notice. But another great thing about this software is it doesn't capture their information. It doesn't put cookies. None of anything on our website. We are anti-advertisement, but we are anti these cookies business that all these different companies, advertisers on these so-called alternative sites, they insert it in your computer. I have 2 different cookie cleaner software here because just one day of looking at news loads my computer with all this gunk. To make the long story short, that plugin with Patreon, if you were to go and utilize it, okay? It allows you to commit whatever you can to have a monthly contribution to Newsbud, and you commit to it. The whole thing is with our subscription, certain level number, we have access that is automatically provided by our software. Well, if we have another platform like Patreon, we have to do that manually, meaning we have to go get the information of the email of the person that donated to us or committed. Then we have to manually register that person so they have access to our exclusive community content. We don't have administrators currently. Spiro and I running it. My husband is running it part-time. That's one of the things we need badly. That was part of the question, what do you need? We need to have more IT people, web administrator people, customer service administration people. If we had that, okay, that could be part of the job of that person. But with all the things we have, we can't afford spending that time, go to see who has signed up in Patreon and then manually connect them with our website. It is very tedious to do that. The other thing is, and I caution people about that, a lot of these, I don't know what you call it, open source, or they advertise themselves as open source platforms, people managed platforms, they start with good ideas, but behind the scene, they have other ultimate goals, okay? One good example of it is Reddit. Reddit, when they first formed, it was community managed, right? Open to all, forum. But behind the scene, they had the people who said, we're going to operate in a certain way, give them all the freebies, all the access, until we capture millions of people coming. Once we capture them, then we're going to F them over, excuse my language. Meaning, then we go and cut deal with the Wall Street people to say, how do we go IPO, okay? Because you know why? Our value now is worth this many million or this many hundred millions of dollars because we have 6 million captured audience. They all are looking at these platforms and value them based on that. We are not in that business. Whether we have 150,000 subscribers or 10,000 subscribers, we are not there to go IPO or be bought out or become part of the Wall Street. Once they did that, Reddit, now they've been screwing people big time. And go and look at their board of director, board of advisors. They all started like Mind.com, Patreon.com, and all this stuff. So I know a lot of suggestions come to us and say, you need to go with this. You need to, I'm like, not so fast. Let's watch them, okay? And I don't know what Patreon is going to do with your email address, but I know what I do with it. I guard it with my life. There's only 2 people in our companies who have access to your information, which is email address, right? Under no circumstances I'm going to sell your emailing. Under no circumstances I'm going to use you as a bargaining token to sell myself like a whore. It is not going to happen. So that's the guarantee we have. Patreon doesn't give you that guarantee. I can guarantee you that. And I don't trust third parties. The other things we don't do, Spiro, is we don't maintain and keep our subscriber community members, donors, personal data when it comes to finances, credit cards. I don't want that responsibility. I don't want, because even if our servers or whatever is 1% vulnerable and your credit card information gets trapped because of my server having vulnerability, I don't want to take that chance. I respect your privacy. We do respect your financial information and its integrity. We don't capture it, we don't sell it. These places, they talk a big story. And then finally on Patreon, and I'll finish with that, is I think it's a good platform. Again, I don't know who owns it, and I don't know what they're gonna do with your personal information. I am always cautious about things like that. It serves well singular bloggers, okay? People who are one-person show, because they only have themselves to take care of, okay? I mean, a lot of people have said, well, why is it that Corbett Report charges only $1 or $1.50? I said, that's great. I think that's great that the price is so affordable and it's voluntary, like ours is voluntary. But James Corbett is operation of one man. So it's not like he's hiring all these people, he's having the IT people, he's giving salaries, committing to these people at least for 1 year when they are hired. And no matter how much he collects, it all goes to James Corbett. It doesn't go to other people. Our model is different. I think there's nothing wrong with that model. It's a great model. We love it. It's a site that we support. We like to share the revenue with other people. We want to bring in journalists with integrity, producers with integrity. That means, let's say how much I make, how much Spiro makes, doesn't get big as we get big because we bring in more people. So we give employment. That's one of the things that has been forgotten. in our country here in the US, but also in the Western world. You know, when people outsource their stuff to India, etc., I mean, there is no sense of loyalty or sense of conscientious thing about some of the people who need job. And Newsbud, as Newsbud, I am honored to be able to provide jobs for 14 people. I'm going to be even more honored, okay? And I'm going to be more proud of ourselves when we are able to hire 50 people to give them employment that is independent, for the truth, for good cause, but they get to get paid, their families get to get paid, and they are the people in our community. And some people don't have that philosophy. It's all me. I'm a one woman or one man show, but that's not news organization. So that our model is a news organization. We want to counter the CNNs and the Fox and the PBS and etc., NPR. We are not there to counter John Doe, because this is, I could, as one last example, with my, name as a whistleblower, I can use my credentials, okay? I can have a website. And with what the number of subscribers we have, I can get handsomely paid. I can make 12 times more than what I'm making currently, okay? But I don't have that selfish outlook. I want to hire other good people because this is community. Our team members are part of this community. You, the supporters, are part of this community. Next questions.
Well, that's right, Sibel. I mean, it's not all about the money. I mean, unfortunately, the way the system is now, we need the revenue to sustain this operation, to be able to pay our people so they can continue to produce this content and be able to pay their bills and eat. But I myself, not that it matters or it's anyone's business, but it's just true. It's just a fact. I mean, I took a big pay cut, financially speaking. I quit my day job. I was working for, in a career for over 11 years. And that was a day job. This is my passion. This is my love. This is what I want to be doing. So I made that sacrifice to do this. And I don't regret it. I would make that decision again there in an instant. Again, you can always go to Kickstarter.com and support this channel, support independent media, Newsbud.com. And one of the questions that we have been getting a lot, and Sibel, I know you have some updates and analysis on the Middle East, Syria, Turkey, certain developments there, big time stuff that we're going to get into here very shortly. But since we're talking about this and the funding and Kickstarter and everything, one of the questions that we've been getting a lot here is, what if the Kickstarter goal is not reached? I think that's an important question.
Yes. That's a good question. It's a valid question. Thank you for asking it. And I know there are many of you who have asked this because they're like, oh, so what's going to happen? Is Newsbud going to fold and go out of business? My answer is, read these lips. No, absolutely not. This is the reason since the day one we announced the creation of Newsbud, the whole concept for Newsbud. In our first Kickstarter and second Kickstarter, and in our current Kickstarter, we said this is a combination news platform, information platform organization we have. Meaning it's going to work, it has to work hand in hand for us to be able to operate at this level and even expand. What happens if one is working, let's say the subscription, and the Kickstarter, let's say this one doesn't work, we won't go out of business. We will operate. We may have to cut back a little bit, but then we need to only focus and provide what we are doing and work for the community members who are seeing the value of Newsbud, and they are supporting it. And as if you go right now, you will see other videos we have with notices, and that is up until this point, because we had 2 successful Kickstarters, thanks to you, all of you, with your generosity and kindness, whether you contributed $10 or you contributed $10,000, okay? Because of that, we have been able to offer all our production, okay, 90% plus to everyone. It's open. So even those people who don't value it in action, which is a big shortcoming, because if you value something, how do you show you value it, right? Even those people, they have had full access to 90% plus 90% of our content. But if we don't make these Kickstarters and the crowdfundings and, okay, rely only on subscription, then our content will be only available on our private servers, not through YouTube, which we don't like anyway. And it will be offered only to our community members who value this, who are working with us, who are supporting us, and it will be private. So it won't be accessible to everyone in the world, which is what we want. We want to be able to do multiple platforms and be open to all. But there is this balancing act. The balancing act is, well, why? Why someone who says, I really love this and I want to have access, but I'm not going to do my share. I am not going right now on Kickstarter and give you that, whatever, $50 or subscribe saying, I am part of this community. Well, if those people who don't value it, first of all, it's voluntary. They don't have to come to our site. They don't have to go to our YouTube channel. They can go and find some other mediums that they value, and hopefully they will support them if they are anti-propaganda and good. I'm not saying give it only to us, but if you want us and you want to be able to tune in to our incredible team members, whether it's Professor Kovacevic or Peter Lee or Jeff DeRiso or Kurt Nemo, etc., then become part of the community. You can't have it both ways. Kickstarter was allowing that and is going to allow that because basically, even though I don't like the idea, Spiro, and I'm going to be frank, because I don't like the idea of subsidy, okay? They basically screwed up the farmers. Initially, they gave them money with the subsidizing farming, but once they created that dependency, which they said this is for their own survival, you see how now they are using it against them. I mean, it's amazing. So I have to say, I love and respect our community members. I don't want to say, these people are doing all this work, they value us, some of them have low-paying jobs, yet they come and they do their, like, I can do only $10, I wish I could do more. We are so grateful for your $10. They are, in a way, are subsidizing those people who are not doing their share. Now, with the Kickstarter, if we don't get that subsidy, there's no way for us to be able to be open, because why should it be open? If you don't value it, you don't value it, and we respect your decision. So if you are saying, okay, I don't care about China Watch and Russian News Monitor and one of the top constitutional attorneys in the country, John Whitehead's program, then that's fine. Don't give money. Don't subscribe. Maybe there's someone else you want to subscribe. That's fine. But if you do, then become part of this community, because we are building a community. We are not looking at you as consumers. We are looking at you as our friends and supporters in a community that has come together with basically one objective: to counter this fake news, junk news, propaganda, to bring back integrity into journalism. And basically that is the description of our Newsbud, a 100% people-funded media with integrity. And I tell you this, folks, that word integrity, for me and for our team members, mean above anything else.
Well, yes, you're absolutely right, Sibel. And we did have a donation come through here a little bit ago from screen name is Peanut Fallacy. I would like to thank you for your support, for supporting independent media, supporting newsbud.com. We also had a comment here from someone in the chat, BiddyTube, who also donated to the Kickstarter in a previous live show, I believe, if my memory serves. And thank you for your support. But their idea, they said maybe Newsbud can release one video a week, each week, from a different reporter, and kind of circle through the rotation. This way, people can see what they'll get for for joining the Newsbud community type thing. This is Sibel. This is something that we've been kind of talking about.
Exactly. I know I don't want to be gloating, but I think great minds think alike. I think that's a great idea, and I think that's a reasonable idea. And that is something that we too are very interested in doing. And probably, hopefully, we are going to be able to do that. And we want to do that. I think it's so fair. It's so fair. It's so reasonable. And it also, as he mentions or she mentioned, it gives new audience exposure. So maybe, because I just had something, hopefully you can read some of that comment. A new subscriber who just joined Newsbud community. And this gentleman's comment made my day yesterday. In his sincere, not like the flowery thing that is not sincere, in his sincere, articulate way, he described the reasons why he subscribed, no matter how tight his or her financial situation is. I forgot if I think it's a gentleman. And his description, his reasoning, and the way so sincerely he said why and the importance of news, but it melted my heart. It just made me so emotional. I said, this is when I feel like it's been all worth it, despite all the difficulties and stress and everything. We want people like that as our community members. That's why I keep saying, I don't want the quantity. I don't want people who are yelling, shouting, obscenity. They are attacking each other based on partisanship. They're interested in Kardashian, etc. We want this really amazing community with integrity as well. To answer your question again, I think that's a great idea. I think that's a fair idea. It's reasonable and it's achievable. So let's put that on our plans, Spiro, and hopefully we will deliver that. I like the idea. Let's do it.
Well, that's right. And again, we are right in the middle of this Kickstarter campaign, a little more than halfway through it, with a long way to go. So if you do value what we're doing, if you do value independent media, then do your part, please, and support independent media. This Kickstarter, I don't know if we have done a good enough job, Sibel, conveying that what the importance is of this Kickstarter. I mean, I know we've been talking a lot about it, but I mean, the success of this Kickstarter is so that Newsbud can continue to operate at its current levels right now, just to sustain the operation. And it's a totally, as you mentioned before, it's a totally voluntary model, and it's determined by the people. It rests solely on the people. So with your help and support, we will continue to do what we do and do our operation and provide you with the content that you guys want to hear about. And we're not forcing people to sign up. And when you do sign up, we don't have those contracts, like if you sign up with a cable company or something and you want to cancel it, well, there's like a $200 or $300 cancellation fee. There's none of that. You can cancel at any time. So it's your decision based on your value and how you value Newsbud, and their decision will consequent the action, and it will determine how much farther we can go and what we can do and how we can run this operation. So, and again, we'd like to thank everyone out there who has supported us and continues to support us. I think, Sibel, I'm really anxious to hear your breakdown on the latest developments that are related to Syria, the Kurds, Turkey, the US. I mean, there's a lot going on. We just had the Turkish President Erdogan meeting with President Trump in DC. And I mean, there's a lot going on here. And I'm sure that a lot of people, not just myself, have been waiting to hear your analysis and rundown on this.
Okay, well, considering the time limitation, I wouldn't call this analysis or anything. Maybe briefly mentioning a few bullet points and float a couple of observations there. As you know, Spiro, since it was announced, President Erdogan's visit with Trump, I have been trying to fit this into our schedule and sit down and do the whole full episode of Probable Cause, because I have done all the research, the script is ready, but it's been so hectic that I haven't had a chance to block the time, sit down, prepare it, and then give it to our ultra busy post-production editors. I know you have been, all of you, very busy to edit, so we could offer it to our viewers in a timely fashion. He came, he left, it's been already 3 days, and where is my probable cause? I mean, always, as you know, your production and my production has been taking this backseat, and I'm not complaining. It's just You have to prioritize. And still, as a startup, by the way, we've been operating only for 10 months, not even a year. It's amazing. I mean, the accomplishments, amazing. I am not the person who's saying it as the founder and editor of this organization. We keep reading it on our site and our comment sections and social media. And we are so thankful because your encouraging words go a long way in even during the nerve-wracking or stressful situation, to hold on and keep continuing and everything. So we are really thankful for your encouraging, kind words out there. You may think that, oh, it's just one sentence, I don't know even if they're going to pay attention. We do pay attention, and it does lift our spirits when our spirit needs to be lifted. And the spirits, I think they're very important, and that's different than a Spiro. I know Spiro means the spirit. I'm not saying you're not important, Spiro. I'm just saying spirits in general are important. So I'm still planning. Hopefully I will be able to deliver. I don't want to overpromise here, but a few weeks ago, we started seeing these very flashy and interesting and important headlines on Syrian Kurds now being overtly armed by U.S. weaponry, and some really sophisticated, sensitive U.S. weaponry. And one of the headlines, front page headlines, read, "Trump agrees to arm Kurds in hugely significant move for Syria." Now, arming the Kurds. Has the United States and Israel and UK been arming the Kurds, various factions, both in Iraq and in Syria, on and off? Sure. But in the past, it was always covert. Even those countries sensitive to the issue, let's say in this case, Turkey and Iran, because they have had this internal battles with the largest minority without land, the Kurdish faction. I mean, there are tens of millions of Kurds, and they are the largest minority without land. So there has been all these conflicts for decades and decades between the government in Turkey and the Kurdish factions. Not one, several. There are so many different Kurdish factions. Iranians have had the same thing in Iran. So the covert one, US being Turkey, NATO ally, etc., they tried to downplay. Sometimes Turkey would complain behind the scenes saying, stop arming the Kurds because we consider this and that faction as our terrorists, okay? And, as it is with everyone, anybody you don't agree with, any kind of a voice of a dissent you don't happen to like, nowadays, all you have to do is use the word terrorists, in fact, if you are on the Facebook and you're stating an opinion, nowadays they can label you as terrorists. So that's one of those adjectives, words that I hate when they use. It's like, well, they are terrorists. What constitutes a terrorist, Anyhow, this time, why this is so significant and why it became such a hot issue, and it still is, it's ongoing right now. We are looking at a very critical period, especially with Turkey and US relations, Turkey and the Western European NATO allies, very, very critical. This time, US Trump administration decided to do it overtly. Why? I have some opinions, possibilities that I have been considering, and some of them have more weight. But again, I'm going to keep that for the more detailed analysis. This time they're doing it overtly. In fact, Turkey had this major headlines on the newspapers, which I read several Turkish newspapers every day. And not because I say, oh, they are all reliable. It's because it gives me, just the way you watch Russian newspaper Monitor, it gives me an idea of what is important there, what they are talking, what sounds like propaganda, what sounds like truth, etc. Well, they ran these headlines saying this very important US envoy was posing with YPG Kurds, and all the pictures were in the newspapers. I mean, for Turkey, that was like a huge slap on the face. You start arming these people that we consider terrorists, then you have your officials going and actually posing with these Kurdish groups that we, Turkey, consider terrorists. So as you may expect, the relationship have become so strained. Okay, it's like at this breaking point. And then, of course, there's an Iran angle, because when I was looking at the Iranian newspapers, again, that's something I can go and read because I speak 4 languages. I have lived in these countries. And again, that gives me indicators I need for my analysis as an analyst to see what's going on from Iran's perspective. So they started putting out headlines such as, Kurds eye 1/3 of Syria with US support. So it's like panic. Turkey and Iran saying, you know what they're doing? They have made these deals. Now they are arming them overtly. They are posing with them. Soon the US and the Western countries are going to recognize Kurds as basically Kurdistan as a country. And this new country that is going to be formed by the Kurds is going to be taking 1/3 of Syria. And the same thing for Iraq, meaning we have already talked about the ultimate plan for Iraq, based on the notion of divide and conquer, is to chop it to 3. We did that crap, excuse my language, in the Balkans. Balkanization of the Middle East, starting with these countries. Take Iraq, chop it to 3, based on the division lines, ethnic division line, religion-based division lines. The northern part of Iraq would be Kurdistan, belong to the Kurds with their own government, etc., with their own military. Central Sunni Iraq would be its own central Sunni Iraq government. And then the southern part of Iraq, which are mainly Shias, would form their own government, which would be a Shia government. So what's going to happen is what you see Israel-Palestine, what you see, we saw during the Balkan Wars. Let's keep these 3 at each other's throat. They spend all their money, all their attention, all their energy fighting each other, wars, internal wars. So you won't have any one solid government that can have more weight, authority to say no to the United States or no to Russia. You divide them, divide and conquer. Same thing for Syria. That's exactly what we've been talking about as the plan to divide Syria into various particles along the ethnic lines. There are Turkmen people. Their percentage is much, much, much less than Kurds. But there's that faction. There's a Sunni faction. There's some Shia faction. And then there are the Kurds. So Iranians have been like, this can't be allowed. Usually Iran and Turkey, they are not that close. Turkey is a Sunni country. Iran is a Shia country. And of course, Turkey is a member of NATO. Iran, we have all the sanctions. It's the axis of evil, etc., that has been labeled. But one of the things this Kurdish issue, the developing Kurdish angle has done, has brought Iran and Turkey closer, because now they have one common threat they are facing. It's like, what are we going to do to prevent formation of an independent Kurdistan? Whether it is in Syria, along Turkish border, whether it's in Iraq, along Turkish and Iranian border, whether they chop and join that portion, northern Syria with northern Iraq, and say, okay, it will be this, and it will compass both, northern portion of both countries. So they have been up in arms about that. Another title was America, Turkey, and Iran could be headed towards a showdown. And I'm telling you, it's about to. So all these things were brewing. These were the hottest development with Turkey and the Kurds, and to a certain degree affecting Iran. And that coincided with the visit that Erdogan had scheduled with Trump in the White House here in the United States. In fact, some of the journalists out there, even in mainstream media, predicted that President Erdogan of Turkey, was going to cancel and say, I am not going to meet with you. How dare you? In fact, they issued this plea saying Trump administration, President Trump, US administration should fire the envoys or the envoy who posed with YPG Kurds. If you want the NATO base to remain in Turkey, you need to fire this man. I mean, with that hot temper. So everybody said, we don't even know if Erdogan is going to come to the United States and meet with Trump, because right now it's like this is like the last straw, basically. But he went through with it. And he came and they met. And based on, excuse me, all the analysis and the news I've been reading, no conclusive result. Meaning that the administration, the US is not backing off from supporting the Kurds, especially YPG. And Turkey still insists that they don't want to let this happen. What's going to happen? Is this going to push Turkey further towards Russia? Question mark. What other kind of responses they're going to give? Well, one development is they're kicking out, this is Turkey, they're kicking out Germans out of the NATO base in Turkey. They're like, we don't want to give access to the Germans. Well, they're all NATO members. So this is kind of a really weird situation. And Germany is saying, fine, we go and establish our own base in Jordan. And you look at Jordan geographically, look at it in the map, and you see that when you look at Jordan, you're looking at the front, another front line to attack Syria, another geographically important location, but nowhere to as close as Turkey, because Turkey geographically is the most important NATO ally for the Western interest. You have a country that shares border with Russia and Ukraine and Black Sea issue. You have the Mediterranean Sea and the access there. You have the shared border with Syria, Iraq, and Iran. I mean, as far as geopolitically significant geographic location, you can't get more important than Turkey. So I know even though Germans are saying, fine, we're going to go and find and set up our own base in Germany, in Jordan, it's not going to happen. Now, I'm going to hopefully have the time to prepare the entire analysis on this. But the other day, I came across this significant piece of information that has to do both with Erdogan Trump meeting, but also with something that I had not read anywhere else. In fact, I came to you, Spiro, I said, you got to read this. This is the first time I'm hearing about this. That means both Turkish media, okay, in Turkey, and the US media, they have been, for some reasons, right, they've been blacking out this information. This was on Al Monitor website. Probably keep an eye, people, save it because it may disappear. There is a reason neither Turkish media or the US and other media organizations, they haven't reported on this. Okay, here is a title. It says, Cleric's Exchange. How two clerics topped agenda of Erdogan Trump meeting. I mean, as soon as I saw this headline, I was like, I know one of the top hot issues was the cleric called Mullah Fethullah Gulen, the corrupt charlatan mullah Islamist who has been employed by the CIA, and CIA has been using this network as a front to expand in Africa, all over Middle East and Central Asia and Caucasus. But my question was, why are they talking about two clerics? I don't know about any other clerics, right? Here it is. Thank you, Spiro. How two clerics topped agenda of Erdogan Trump meeting. So I started reading this, and I found out about this American pastor. Okay, he's a Protestant priest or whatever, pastor, minister, who is American, U.S. citizen with U.S. passport. He has been living in Turkey for a year and a half, 2 years, or two and a half years, and is engaged in some humanitarian work, supposedly in Turkey. Some of them involves the refugees coming from Syria into Turkey, maybe some other human rights issues. He also, that's supposedly this pastor, and his last name is Branson. He's been working with other charitable churches and religious organizations, supposedly on humanitarian related issues in Turkey. So he's American, he's US citizen, he's a pastor, he's in Turkey. After the coup, the attempted coup, last July, within a couple of months, few months, Turkish authorities, they get some anonymous tips. I mean, that's one of the things that gets me so, what do you mean anonymous tips? Anonymous sources provide the Turkish government with anonymous tips that says this pastor, it may be true, I don't know. It may not be true, but whenever it's anonymous, I don't like it. I mean, if I'm doing the journalistic work, I'm like, I'm not going to base my thing based on some anonymous tips. So they got the tip, this is the Turkish government, that this pastor has been having some connection with Gulen's people. Gulen's people means CIA. Gulen equals CIA, okay? It's a terrorist organization. And not only that, supposedly this pastor also, as part of this humanitarian work within Turkey-Syria borders, supposedly he has had some contacts and he has aided some Kurdish people that Turkey considers as terrorists. Again, anonymous. Based on this, without any real warrant, without any justification that is like goes through the court system, Turkish authorities went to his house in Turkey, where he is staying currently, where he was staying. They knock on the door, they open the door, they arrest him and his wife. His wife also is supposedly an American. They are both US citizens with US passports. They are not Turkish citizens. They put them in a car and they take them to a detention center. This happened like 6 months ago. Can you believe that? And I have not heard about this. Within 48 hours or so, they release the wife, but they put her on the plane, they deport her from Turkey, okay? So they kick her out of Turkey. She comes back to the United States. Meanwhile, they have been holding this pastor in Turkey in jail. Now, there hasn't been any formal indictment as far as all my research shows, and this article mentions that. The guy hasn't had the chance to defend himself in the courts. The sources are anonymous, the charges are anonymous, but they have been holding this American pastor in jail, right? And according to this article, when Erdogan came to the United States and met with Donald Trump, one of the things they were talking about was, you extradite and send us that terrorist mullah Fethullah Gulen back to Turkey. This is what Turkey has been demanding for a few years, and especially very strongly, overtly, since that attempted coup. Supposedly, according to this article by Al Monitor, Trump has been saying, you need to release this pastor because this is going to cause outrage, in the US, saying why the United States government is hush-hushing it. The US media, and that includes all the Soros-funded alternative media, that includes all the mainstream media, CNN, all the CIA network, they have been keeping the lid on the story, because you're going to see some outspoken people in the US saying, why aren't our government fighting for this guy to be released? He's a US citizen, right? He's in jail with some dubious charges, supposedly. Maybe the charges have some validity, but from what I'm seeing, of course, it's Al Monitor publishing it, so maybe there is a reason we don't see more on that. Let's say if this pastor was part of the CIA, would Al Monitor say, oh, he has done a lot of other things in some sensitive countries with CIA operations and them? Then we would be saying, he does look suspicious, right? But we don't know at this point. Erdogan says, okay, so in a way, President Erdogan of Turkey has tried or has been trying to use this as a bargaining chip with the United States government, in this case, President Trump, saying, you want your pastor back? Give us, extradite our pastor, our cleric. So that's why the headline says clerics exchange. So supposedly this was one of the top topics discussed. Now, what was the outcome of that? So far, Gulen hasn't been extradited. And so far, nobody's talking about releasing and deporting this pastor. He's still sitting in jail. Why would they want to cover up this story? I think it is because they are afraid of the possible potential outrage by the American people. Because a lot of Americans, even those people who are not familiar with this charlatan terrorist mullah, Fethullah Gulen, they would be then expressing their outrage and demand White House, Donald Trump to take action and say, why don't you send their whatever terrorist mullah back so we can get our pastor back? Why don't you engage in this exchange? Are you willing to sacrifice a religious figure, American religious figure, church related, okay, pastor, for a mullah that has already been established as a heroin kingpin, as a terrorist, as someone who's spreading fanaticism, what kind of a decision is that? Send them their mullah. We want to get rid of this man anyway. There are a lot of Americans who want to see Fethullah Gulen, the terrorist, be sent to Turkey and be done with that problem. So why Fethullah Gulen is so important? Because Fethullah Gulen equals the CIA. Fethullah Gulen has been the channel through which CIA has been operating since 1997 to spread terror and fanaticism and madrasas all over the world. So kicking out this guy, meaning it would be Donald Trump challenging the CIA. Now the question is, will Donald Trump challenge the CIA? Thus, this terrorist charlatan Mullah Fethullah Gulen gets to be extradited, and this pastor, whether innocent or not, would get safely back home? Well, what do you think, Spiro?
I don't think that the agency would allow this guy Gulen to be out of their control. I mean, there's no way. So if that's the U.S. position that they want to do the exchange, or I mean, I don't know. I don't see it happening. Of course, I'm not the expert on the region, but that's just my take on it. I mean, there's so much going on. I mean, like you're saying, NATO allies, Turkey, Germany, U.S., they're all kind of clashing. You have Germany accepting hundreds of people who are suspected to be involved in that coup, the attempted coup in Turkey. And then now, like, because of that, Turkey's wanting to kick Germany out of Turkey, out of the NATO base, the Incirlik base there with all the nukes. And I mean, and there's just so much going on. You have everyone's calling, Saudi they're embracing them as like the savior of human rights, calling Iran, the world state sponsor of terror. But I mean, it's just everything's so backwards, and we're seeing a lot of these developments take place. Like, for example, with you were talking earlier about the Turks hitting some Kurds with an airstrike. Well, that caused the U.S. to embed some of their troops with the Kurds to kind of protect them. So hey, if you blow up this convoy, you're going to blow up American troops, and all hell's going to break loose. So, but we're also seeing the same thing on the flip side with, the U.S. hitting pro-Syrian forces in Syria. So now Russia is embedding their special forces troops with these guys. So I mean, it's like tit for tat. It's escalating, and it's there's so much going on. We could talk about this all night.
No, you're absolutely right, and it's like with Turkey, they have been using this token, this chip so much. Is you don't do this, we're gonna shut down NATO base. You don't do this, we're gonna give it to the Russians. In a way, it's kind of getting old because I'm getting sick and tired of it. I'm like this yo-yo mechanism. One day they're like, that's it, we're gonna turn towards East. We're gonna be with Russia and China. We're gonna be part of Shanghai Cooperation, and that's it with NATO base. 2 days later, they are shaking hands. They're saying they're gonna do this and do this with the U.S. and carry this operation. We're like, whoops. So we are looking to the West. Then 3 days later, we are looking to the East. But let's pose this question to our audience. I don't know how many people we have right now, if they got tired and they left, but especially with the people who have been supporting President Trump, and they have been, they voted for him. What do you think he should do in this case? And what do you expect that he would do? Will Donald Trump, as a president, counter the CIA, stand up and say, send that terrorist charlatan Mullah Fethullah Gulen, the guy who's a heroin kingpin and a top wanted terrorist, basically, to Turkey, okay? And let's get our pastor, this Christian man, this American, back into the United States. Is he going to do that? I really want to hear it. We want to hear from you. And if he's not doing it, is it something that you think people should be demanding? Because, Spiro, when I'm looking at it, the only reason Soros-funded Democracy Now!, Political, all this crappy, and the mainstream media, they haven't covered this because obviously it's been out there, because I was surprised because I've been looking at those channels on this Pastor Branson, and they're all cooperating because they don't want the Americans to know about this terrorist mullah charlatan Fethullah Gulen. Meaning They don't want them to say, come on, we elected you, President Trump. Why don't you do the right thing? Send their, I'm not going to use the word, whatever, mullah back to them. Let's get our man back. Now that you know, here we are having a live session. It's mainly on our organization, Newsbud, and our Kickstarter. But let's start activism. Let's start a hashtag. In fact, let's include this link on Al Monitor. I'm not advocating for Al Monitor as a great source, but this one is factual. They did meet, and neither one is releasing the clerics. In one hand, we know Fethullah Gulen is a terrorist mullah extremist. We don't know about this other guy, Pastor Branson. He may be a perfectly innocent man caught in crossfire and being used as a bargaining chip. But this is something that I think maybe people can make a difference. You and I, Spiro, together with Newsbud, we exposed NBC CIA operation as they were implementing it. During the attempted coup on July, right? It was in July 2016. NBC News, and we can put the link so people can see all the history. Those of you who are not familiar with it, they started tweeting this false information crafted by Pentagon and CIA saying the coup is taking place. The Turkish president is running from Turkey, running away. He's on the plane trying to land in Germany, and he is seeking asylum. He has given up. That's what they started putting. I caught that as they put it there. And this is Kyle Griffin of NBC. And I right away said, I said, who's your sources? They're like anonymous Pentagon sources. I'm checking, meanwhile, live coverage in Turkey, and there is an announcement that the president of Turkey, President Erdogan, is about to have a press conference in Istanbul. I'm like, the guy is having a press conference. Why are you floating this all over Twitter saying he is trying to land, in Germany to seek asylum? Well, this was a CIA plot. We exposed it as it was happening. Here it is from Russia Insider. Crowdfunded news startup Newsbud nailed NBC for planting CIA intel during Turkey coup. Okay, this is, we are by then, Spiro, we are like less than 2 months old. We are like in operation for only a couple of months. And we single-handedly stopped the CIA and Pentagon, and they're armed. They're like octopus, They're like these squid with these tentacles. Well, NBC is a CIA tentacle, folks. Same thing is true for Democracy Now! And all these charlatans. They're being funded by the CIA and Soros, etc. And as we put it, we actually forced them to back off and say they didn't even say it was false, but we proved that it was false. And then we asked NBC to issue formal retraction, Spiro. And we gave them time. We sent all their executive letters, and they were all certified letters, emails. We said, in journalism, with any entity that has integrity, that's part of the ethics. You put false information, you have to come publicly, issue retraction, and apologize. You were actually participating in this coup against the democracy in Turkey. Whether you like their kind of democracy or not, that doesn't matter. Whether you like President Erdogan, doesn't matter. But the fact that CIA was executing this coup and they were using a news organization in US to help them achieve it, okay? Only us, we did it. And we exposed them. We demanded retraction. They didn't. We got on the plane, took the red-eye flight. We went to New York with our cameras. We were quarantined. I don't know if you have any pictures on that. But we said, we need to expose so the American people will get to see that when they are paying those cable bills, they are tuning on these news organizations' news. What they are tuning on is the propaganda crafted, made, the recipe, everything by the CIA, by the deep state, by the shadow government, by these mega corporations, and they are feeding you lies and propaganda. Well, here it is. Maybe this is an opportunity, Spiro. There is an American pastor, okay, US citizen, folks. He's been sitting in jail, okay, in Turkey. In Turkey. All Turkey wants to release this man, this pastor, this churchman, Branson, and send him back to the United States so he can be reunited with his wife, okay? Is for the United States, for President Donald Trump to extradite a terrorist, extremist, Islamist mullah named Fethullah Gulen, who lives in the United States, and he carries out all sorts of extremism, terror-related activities, operations across the globe on behalf of the CIA. Now, do you feel empowered as US citizens? And let's say you supported Donald Trump. We are not saying we are supported. We are not red pill, blue pill people. But why don't we put it into some kind of a test, Spiro? Why don't you demand the president, because he's supposedly listening to the people, okay? To you who have voted for him, put him in this office, White House, tell him to get rid of this terrorist mullah, send him to Turkey, so hopefully they can just get rid of him, put him in jail permanently, and get a US citizen who may be innocent. Can we go ahead and ask President Trump that you have voted for and ask him to do that? Create the hashtag, say extradite Gulen, hashtag bring back this minister, this pastor, Pastor Branson. Because if he's innocent, he's a US citizen, he's rotting in jail there. And if the president of this nation is sacrificing that person who may be innocent for a charlatan, terrorist, heroin, kingpin, mullah, Islamist Fethullah Gulen, then maybe then you will start reconsidering your vote or your fate. Was that blind fate? Why don't we put it into some kind of a test here? See, we started with this Kickstarter and the updates, and we ended up organizing another action plan. But this is something we are exposing during this live event. I'm telling you, go and search. You're not going to find this anywhere else. They have been burying it. Save, and you saved it, I know, Spiro, that Al Monitor article, because the CIA doesn't want you to know about this American pastor, US citizen in jail in Turkey, and the fact that he's staying there, rotting there because of some extremist Islamist charlatan mullah, folks. Let's put a stop to that. Let's send this mullah back to Turkey, and let's get this pastor guy back here.
Well, that's right. That's right. You're absolutely right, Sibel. And you're right. I can't believe it's already been almost 2 hours. We've been streaming live here. We were planning on going for about an hour, but there's more people on here now than there has been. I mean, there's lots of people in here. The chat is active.
Questions. I want to hear your response, especially from people, and we value all of you, whether you're a Trump supporter, whether you're not. It doesn't matter, because we don't subscribe to red pill, blue pill, okay? And we don't say everybody should be like us. We are saying it's wrong, but we don't do it. But we want to hear from you. Do you believe you have the power to get the president you elected to bring back Pastor Branson?
People need to get active. Absolutely. I haven't seen anyone specifically answer that, but I've seen there's been a few different questions. One was from Chris asking, what's the best way to, basically expose or not be affected by CIA psyops. There was another question here from Robert Diggins. Hello, Robert. It says, tell us which American government officials were instrumental in bringing Gulen to the USA and why. I mean, the comments are very.
That's a great question. I can just quickly answer this one. Fethullah Gulen was brought into the United States while he was the most wanted man, okay, by Turkey, by a private Gulf Stream owned and operated by the CIA. He was indicted. He was about to go to jail. So they put him on this Gulf Stream in 1997, 1998. They brought him to the United States. He first lived right next to the CIA's headquarters near McLean. Within a few years, he moved to Pennsylvania. He has a big fortress, big mansion. His net worth is $22 billion. Look at 1998. The man in charge, it was the Democrat liberal president, Bill Clinton. Okay, and it was the CIA administration, CIA agency under Bill Clinton. And this was when the Gladio B, Operation Gladio B, went into effect. We had the NATO's stay-behind armies under Operation Gladio A, which started right around the World War II. after World War II and continued until 1996, 1997. But after the fall of the Soviet Union, the operation changed from Gladio A to Gladio B. With Gladio B, they were not going to and create these terror operations and blame it on the Soviet Union. They were going to have their own Islamists that they had trained and have them, okay, commit terror acts and then blame it on various countries and then go after those countries for the same kind of imperialistic, colonialistic expansion. So for that operation, Operation Gladio B, they decided to use the Islamist figure who could help them recruit suicide bombers, false flag actors, etc., and start implementing these pseudo terror plots in Central Asia, in Caucasus, and elsewhere in the Middle East. So that operation was concocted by a special division within NATO in 1996, 1997. Bill Clinton approved it. They brought in Gulen here. They said, you operate this from United States, right next to the CIA headquarters, right? This man who came here with nothing, no money, he's basically illiterate. He only went to school for the first 3 years of primary school, okay? He's 75, 80 years old. He's almost senile, right? He went from that. Currently, his net worth is about $25 billion. He is the most funded Islamist extremist organization in the world. There's no other organization that has $25 billion. That's the known part. Funding, okay? Not only that, and I know a lot of our viewers, many of them are going to be surprised to hear this. The same terrorist heroin kingpin mullah happens to be the owner and operator of the largest charter school operation in the United States. So there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of American children are attending charter schools that are owned and operated by a terrorist charlatan mullah, fanaticist, Islamist, Fethullah Gulen. He's wanted in Turkey. They have all sorts of evidence. How much of it is like really sound? How much of it is not? I don't know. But he's been wanted there. Turkey is NATO ally. They've been asking the United States to extradite. He's not a U.S. citizen, by the way. This man, Fethullah Gulen, he's not. Okay? They're like, send him back because we have these charges against him. We want to put him on trial and we want to put him in jail. CIA, valuing this man, they are refusing. Obama went along with it. Will Trump go along with it? That's the question.
Well, you're absolutely right. And that would be a bigger move. I mean, I don't know how many people fully understand how big this is and how this ties so many different things together. It's really incredible. But it looks like in the chat here, and the general consensus is that people don't think that Trump is going to send Gulen back to Turkey, although they think that he should. Here's one comment that I highlighted. I speculate the U.S. will not hand over Fethullah Gulen, as he is potentially the future leader of the country when the U.S. overthrows Turkey. There was, another comment here that I want to read to you, Sibel. It was a good one. A question for you from Brandon saying, Sibel, do you have any more knowledge on the General Flynn ties with the Turkish lobby? Also, an update on Jan Schakowsky's situation.
Sure. Before I go to that question, for those people, don't be defeatist, people. Give yourself some credit, because if you say people, let's say Americans, most of them would demand and want it, and still their president wouldn't do it, their government, then maybe it's time for you to take a step back and say, this is not the democracy we keep thinking it is, and celebrate 4th of July and say we have a democratically elected government that represents the people. Because if people were to demand this and the government doesn't do it, then that should tell you basically that the government is not the representative of the people. Well, we at Newsbud have been saying it all along and under various administration, whether it was Bill Clinton administration, George W. Bush, Obama, and we are saying the same thing with President Trump. But we would like to be pleasantly surprised, meaning don't be defeatist, at least try. You can send petitions, you can put it on Twitter, you can discuss it on our YouTube channel here. You can let other people know to watch this episode of our live session, Newsbud, and spread the word, because right now the deep state wants the opposite to happen. They want to keep this under this tight lid. So you do the opposite. Expose it. Have people watch this. We'll put the link for you here. We'll create the hashtag for you here, because after all, our goal is to expose the truth. Now, with the second question, this whole case that they have turned it into scandal with Flynn, it is one of the worst witch hunt cases I've ever seen in this country being the United States of America. Because look, I'm not saying Flynn did not do lobby work and represent, he didn't represent some Turkish interest. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is this: the hypocrisy and the double standards. If they were to apply that standard that they're saying Flynn has to go through hearing and get indicted, and even President Trump should be impeached because of that. If we go with that standard, okay, minus the hypocrisy, minus double standards, you're going to see 2/3 of the elected officials in Congress sitting, facing indictments. Okay, you're going to see so many people from Obama administration, executive branch figures facing indictments. You know why, people? Because they're all whores, okay? I don't have any better word for it. When you go and look at the United States Congress and see how many different foreign lobbies they get money from and they represent, okay? Name them. Whether it's Saudi Arabia, okay? One of the most despicable nations on the planet. Whether it's Israel, that has been violating human rights right and left, okay? Whether it is China, I mean, you would be appalled if you were to go and see the number of elected officials in Congress who's getting 10 times more money than this guy Flynn did. And nobody goes after them, okay? They're all in the same whorehouse, basically. They have turned our Congress. And I'm not saying it to be cute or be outrageous. I'm not playing this talk show, posting it. I'm just saying currently these people are whores who have turned our Congress into a whorehouse. That's the reality of it. I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you. That's for that. Same thing within the executive branch. I exposed single-handedly Mark Grossman. Mark Grossman was the third highest level person from the top, from the Secretary of the State to the bottom, the third one in the State Department, okay? The Clinton administration have had him as an ambassador, Bush administration, and even during the Obama administration, he was made to be a special envoy, right? This man, this Mark Grossman, number one, he is Israeli. He has double citizenship, okay? Number two, he's been getting close to $1 million a month from the Turkish government during Obama administration, during Clinton administration, during the Bush administration, okay? And in fact, there were articles talking about which one of different business groups, political entities were hiring this charlatan, this sold out, dual citizen, okay, guy, Mark Grossman. Did anybody go after him? I blew the whistle. I was gagged on that, okay? I testified under oath when they were trying to come and shut down the whole testimony. Why are they going after Flynn? Why are they going after Flynn? That's the question you should be asking. And that is not because he did something wrong that is more wrong than the rest of the whores in Congress and in the executive branch. During the previous administration, Obama had some of the biggest charlatans in the world sitting there on his administration. Why nobody went after them? So it's a witch hunt. Then the next question you should be asking is why? Why are they going after President Trump? I'm not saying I'm a President Trump supporter, but I don't want to resort to hypocrisy or double standards and saying, why are they going after Flynn? And I know CIA is playing a big part because they got a big black eyes. They tried, this is the CIA through Operation Gladio B, okay? They tried to overthrow a democratically elected government administration in Turkey. They couldn't, they failed, okay? They failed, and they've been burn since then, okay? And they want anyone associated with the current administration or had some association to pay. And obviously, behind the scenes, President Trump must be doing things or saying things that the CIA, in some ways, they don't like. So what I'm saying is they are targeting Flynn not because he didn't accept bribery, but he did not, I mean, bribery meaning lobby, okay? There are so many others who are getting 10 times worse. They don't disclose it under the Foreign Act that they are supposed to be disclosing, okay? It's called the Foreign Registration Act. Anytime you lobby for a foreign government, you have to register with the Justice Department. But if you go to United States Congress, executive branch, you see 99% of people don't do that, and nobody touches them. So ask yourself, why are they going after President Trump? Why are they going after this guy Flynn? Because his crime, if it's in relative form, it's like so tiny compared to the real big fat cats out there who are abusing the offices right and left, and they are pocketed by various foreign governments, including the Saudi Arabia regime.
Well, that's right. There's a whole lot of convolution going on out there. They're never going to come right out and tell you exactly. You know, it's a lot. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors. I believe that Sibel, you have. You know, you may be holding out on us on why you think that they're really going after Flynn, but I know we're getting ready to probably wrap this up here as we've been going live for 2 hours now. What do you think?
Yes, I just want to make sure we answered, because this was supposed to be interactive, and I know we started that way. I want to make sure that we answer questions. That's one of the things that we are proud of, that we are with the people, with our community. People ask about Newsbud hiring employment criteria. They have been asking. We answered that. And then you ask the questions that people pose there. What if Kickstarter goal is not reached? We will be operating. We will not be able to continue our regular public broadcast. So I really encourage all of you to come and subscribe and become a community member for the price of having one coffee, small coffee, regular black coffee, $1.25 from Starbucks, okay, or any other coffee joints, because it is $7 a month. But if you do annual, it ends up being $5 a month. Oh, another question I have been getting, people ask, they say, are there different level of subscription? Because we have heard there are people who are paying $5 a month as subscribers. I want to explain that quickly. When we started Newsbud, before Newsbud, we were Boiling Frogs Post. And when we started the subscription program monthly, and this was 6-7 years ago, it started at $5 a month. When we expanded the services we were offering, we raised the price to $6. But one of the, again, it goes to the integrity. One of the policies we have with inflation, with expanded services, when we raise the price from 5 to 6 or 6 to 7 currently, and at some point in the next whatever, we may have to raise it to $7.50 or whatever, those people who have subscribed with us under $5 forever, they will be paying $5 because they got in there when we were tiny, okay? They had faith in us and they subscribed. I actually appreciate those people a little bit more than the new ones because now we are more substantial. These people had faith in us, these community members. We were a tiny little site with a couple of articles and one podcast per week. So their monthly subscription always will be $5, even when at some point we are $10 per month. If you get your subscription now at $7, that's a guaranteed rate. We never change your rate. It will be anyone who would come after the rate change will get that. So I wanted to answer that. Okay, one question we've been getting through our email system. Why don't you allow certain company sponsorship ads? I know we have made it clear that we will never run ads, okay? Then there are people, some of you say, well, you don't have to do it for mega corporations. There are some health food store products, companies, smaller. There are some water filtration companies. We just don't do any ads, people, okay? And on our team members, if you go and ask them, and say, would you, as part of your show, stop the show in the middle of it and say, now I want to recommend that you get pill A, B, C, because it's going to make your genital organs this much larger. I will tell you this, our team members will never plug in anybody's products because, I mean, I want to call classy, but I don't mean to socioeconomic class. We have people who are elegant, classy. They don't like doing those kinds of things. They are not salesmen. They didn't become part of this team to become a salesman. I am not a salesman. I'm not going to hold some filter or something and say, buy this. And what if the filter is not working? I'm not gonna get mixed up with that. We will never, ever have ads. And that's final. And it's true, some of these companies are not like mega corporations. And yes, it's true. Some of these companies sell good products. We are in the business of analysis, information, and news. We are not in the business of selling products. That would be like a marketing website. We are not a marketing company, okay? We are news, information company. We won't have ads. Another question we frequently receive, I know we have answered it in the past, is Bitcoin. Do you accept Bitcoin? Currently, we don't. Again, you were asking what kind of plans we had. We are going to, at some point, accept Bitcoins. We haven't had a chance to acquire that system and tie it to our subscription service. But no, it's a great idea. We would like to do it, and we are going to do it. It may happen in 3 months. It may happen in 5 months. Please be patient. But yes, we would like to accept Bitcoin, and that's going to be added. You already posed a question, Spiro, on Patreon. And the question, what is the ultimate vision objective for Newsbud model? And my questions entailed objectives because we have so many of them. And I want to wrap up this session by saying we are not going to go anywhere. It's just we want to work for, present to people, to the community members who are part of our community. And that doesn't mean we are looking at people who are like-minded, that we see everything the same way. Take a look at our productions. Each person, by the way, we have 100% editorial freedom. When you watch Kurt Nemo's shows, it is not top to bottom order or anything. Kurt Nemo does pick his own topics. Every one of them has been magnificent. He does his own research. He puts it together. He is his own entity. He's a well-respected journalist. He's mature. He's experienced. He does his show. Peter Lee, I am like the rest of you. I wait excitedly to watch Kurt Nemo or Peter Lee or Philip Kovacevic or Jeff DeRisto show because I have no idea what I'm going to see. Because we don't have micromanagement. We don't dictate to our producers what to produce, what to say to the people. Each one of them are independent. Spiro is independent. We don't have micromanagement, and we are not going to go away. We some people ask me, they say, well, where do you stand? What are you? Are you a liberal? Are you Republican? Are you Democrat? I have been nonpartisan all my life. I have never voted party lines, okay? I never supported that guy, President Obama, who was handed the Nobel Peace Prize for murdering so many children and for being one of the top warmongers in the history of the United States, a man who had jailed whistleblowers. No other presidents before that man had done that. But the liberal media folks, together with the liberal global organizations, for all his criminal acts, that's President Obama, with all his murders, all his perpetual wars, all the orphans he created, all the whistleblowers he jailed, they handed him, ironically, a Nobel Peace Prize. They called his predecessor, who did less, he was still bad. I didn't like him at all, George W. Bush. He's the one who put gag order on me, right? So I would have more of a personal vendetta against that guy between the two. But compared to Obama, he did less in terms of evil doing. He was unanimously called the evil, horrible, terrible man. This is the hypocrisy. This is a double standard that is going with that red pill, blue pill. We are not that. We don't subscribe to that. And as far as personally, I believe a lot of things that I stand for with my family life, with the way I view things, it's more runs towards conservative, not Republican, not Democrat. I'm a conservative person in my real life. I'm raising my child based on conservative principles. Again, I don't know what progressive means, but a lot of things I've heard, it doesn't describe how I am, how we have been as a family. And I'm not ashamed of it. I exercise it. And there are some people who want to tell you and make you accept that everything is equal, everybody is equal. No, I don't believe in that. I think we are all different in our ways, and we have the freedom to choose, meaning those people who want to be part of this kind of community, they can do it. Those people who rather be part of different kind of community, they should be. And I don't treat them equally. I mean, the best way to describe it is, I do not like to see a community filled with members who use constantly foul language or attack somebody's parties or perpetuate party lines, red pill, blue pill. That's who I am. That's the vision I set. And our team members, they all, but no matter what their philosophy, they agree with. I believe in classy delivery. I believe in professionalism. I believe in hard work. And I do believe that in this world, there is no such a thing as free lunch. And more than that, there is no such a thing as free news. Anybody who gives you something and says, I'm giving it to you for free, please think about it.
Oh, that's right. And I'd like to thank everyone that participated in the chat today, all of our viewers, everyone who's going to participate in the comments below. This was a very interesting discussion. We covered some good topics in there. And like you said, about is Trump going to ship Gulen back? You know, I mean, we want to hear people's feedback. Should he ship him back? And we get your take on that. And of course, don't forget to support independent media, support Newsbud. We are 100% people funded, and we are relying on you, the public, to keep our operation up and running. So that's why we are running this Kickstarter campaign right now, and none of this is possible without your support. So not sure if we're going to end up doing a live stream next weekend. Sibel, this is what, the third weekend we've done one in a row. We haven't talked about it yet. But,
no, we haven't talked about it. Again, we're going to listen to our community. If they say, you know what, we have several other questions, we didn't get a chance to watch and post questions. Of course, you can always post your questions under this YouTube feature that we just are recording, finishing the recording session of it. Put your questions there, because some of those we can answer there under your questions. I know Spiro frequently replies to comments and questions, and it all depends. If we get that demand, the request, of course, we'll try to scramble and make time. I know it's family time, as I just finished saying how conservative I am with family and family values, but our community members, they are important. I'm asking people if they see value, if they like these videos, these presentations, these analysis, to come to newsbud.com and subscribe. Become a community member, and you will be proud of it. I can guarantee you that. And I again encourage people to go and donate, pledge to our Kickstarter as much as you can, but really think hard and say, is this the max I can give? And as far as some people who say, your model should be that way, why don't you do it like this singular blogger or YouTuber? We don't want to listen to, because we have our own model, okay? It's so silly, because it's like saying, why, let's say a restaurant or cafe that chooses to deliver organic, homemade, good, nutritious food should price and make it available as fast and as cheap as McDonald's. You have a choice. If you don't like our model, if you don't like our sophisticated way of delivery and professional videos, our community-based subscription, community-based operations, please don't come to our YouTube, because you know, you are not, nobody's forcing you. You can't come in one hand say, I want access to everything you produce, then turn around and say, I don't want your model. You should be open to all. You shouldn't charge anything. Well, we don't cater to people like you. Please go choose the McDonald's of the today's news information site. Pick a YouTuber, you know, someone who delivers once a week, twice a week based on their other jobs. That's fine. That's your choice. We respect that. Please respect our choice. We don't cater to you. We are We consider ourselves a community, and people are free to choose to decide to be part of the community or not. We value our members value us. Maybe it appeals to certain age group or demographic, possible, but please, this is not for you. For McDonald's lover of the news sites, the YouTubers, this is not for you. And we're not going to be apologetic about our ways, our professionalism, and we don't want you to be apologetic for not supporting us and subscribing, but please don't visit our YouTube channel. Thank you.
All right, everyone. Well, that wraps up this special live edition of Spotlight with Sibel and Spiro. We're going to talk over the course of the next week and see if we're going to do another live stream next weekend. And if we are, we will make the announcements on our social medias. You can follow Newsbud on Twitter, on Facebook, Instagram, of course, here at YouTube. But the main place for all the action is at newsbud.com. A lot of information there you won't get anywhere else. We'll see you guys next weekend, potentially, and thanks for the support. Thank you for backing Newsbud.
Thank you very much, everyone. And without you, there wouldn't have been Newsbud. Without you, there won't be a Newsbud. So again, we are thankful to you. Thank you very much.